Hello and welcome to Dicejesters. My name is Julie.
And my name is Dave.
And today, Dave and I will be discussing Marco Polo.
The Voyages of Marco Polo.
The Voyages of Marco Polo for our next 10 by 10. This is what game are we in?
7.
Game 7? It's already 7?
Yeah.
Wow.
We have 3 after this.
When did we start this?
I think it was April. It's been a couple months. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Something
these games
like
feel bigger. They feel longer. I don't know.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a while.
Well, what is the backstory? Because I was looking at it and it's very colorful. It kind of has Bora Bora vibes with the whole water, but then the art kind of reminds me of Bruges because the border where you count the numbers has that Renaissance Victorian look to it, and then it kind of almost has Orleans vibes.
How so?
I don't know. That's what I get from it. Like, the colors, the dice. I guess Orleans was more so similar to Quacks of Quedlinburg with the whole, you don't know what you're going to get, and this might be more strategy-esque, but it seems like a mix of a bunch of games that we played. It's dice placement, so obviously by the dice on it, and then it has resources, and on the bottom of it, it has these resources and then a dice, and then you can convert said resources into other resources, right?
Yeah.
Which reminds me of Century, which means there's a high possibility that it's going to be a Julie game.
I think so. It's been a while since I've played this game. I've played it online, but never in physical form. And I was reading through the rules to prepare for this, and I was like, this is such a Julie game. There's so much about it, because it's known for being insanely restrictive, to the point where they create a sequel for the game that was less restrictive for people who enjoy that playstyle more. And the people who like the more restrictive nature like this version more than the second version. So I think there's so much that I think you're going to like about this game. And the reason why I selected it was because it's by 2 designers, Simone Luciani and Daniele Tascini, who are very famous designers. And you'll see their names pop up a lot in future games that we'll play. But they come together and they're this powerhouse design duo, and they've made really cool games like Zulkin the Mayan Calendar is one that they made. But then Simone Luciani has gone on to create games like Nucleum, Darwin's Journey.
I know I've heard his name before.
Yeah, you've seen this whole Italian design group where they all kind of work collaboratively on these different games, and you'll see them work in different combinations with each other. And so I thought this would be a really cool one for us to start with, because it's known as a classic. I remember when it came out, it was really big. And the reason why it was so popular, the dice placement is really interesting, but it also has these really cool, unique player powers that seem insanely overbalanced. Or overpowered, that's what I'm trying to say. Out of balance, overpowered.
I've never used that term outside of Pokemon.
They're all equally overpowered to the point where it's like, wow, you get to do that, but I get to do this. And so you were pretty spot on with what we're doing in the game, but it is a dice placement game where you get to place a die to be able to do a certain action.
I know. One of the actions is the first player. I don't like that action.
Oh, the first... No, I don't know that.
This one? It looks like it. It looks like there's a dice on it, and then there's 2 additional spots, because we play as a 2-player game, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I guess, you could be right. You read the rules. I don't know. What's the hourglass thing?
This is for a travel action. So we're traveling around the board. Okay. We are... Oh, you asked for the backstory. I can give you the backstory.
Yeah, you can give me the backstory.
Yeah. Players play as associates of Marco Polo who traveled with him and in the surrounding areas. Each player tries to collect points by completing contracts and visiting as many lucrative cities as possible. Completed contracts provide more than just victory points. They also offer discounts and the ability to use privileges in the cities you visit. On top of that, they let you reach goals at the end of the game. At the end of the game, the winner is the player with the most victory points. So, boom, there you have it. We're traveling around the board and putting outposts in these different cities that then give you additional action spots. They give you income for the beginning of each round. And so it's competitive on the board in that aspect, but then there's these different dice placement spots where some actions may cost you 1, some may cost you up to 3, and then your opponent's gone there, and then you're like, what do I do now? Well, you can still go there, but you have to pay the bank whatever the lowest value die is that you use. That is how much you have to pay in order to use that spot. But it's also the strength of the action that you get to do. So if I want to go to a spot that somebody else has done, it's going to cost me, and then also it may not be that powerful if I'm only if I don't have all powerful dice. So there's a little bit of that going on. Some engine building, some contracts. You love games with contracts where you're trying to, you might have to cash in a couple gold and a camel to get points.
Do I like games with contracts?
Yeah, like Century has contracts.
But that doesn't mean I like it. I'm just good at it.
You're good at it.
I don't like contracts.
Okay.
I don't like there having to be an outside objective that we need to obtain outside of the game.
Oh, I mean, kind of like in Bora Bora, those...
Yeah, those aren't really
tiles.
like contracts to me. They're just a distraction, and they're a waste of a turn to me.
Oh, they're not a waste. Maybe it's the way my brain works. I can always use something like guiding me. I might start a game and not know which direction to go.
This is like a Zool, where you can't play on the other side. Because you like mess yourself up. You're just like, oh, wait, no.
That's so true. I'm excited to play this one. I was looking at the player powers that it comes with, and they're in a 2-player game. There are 7 or 8, but there's just enough where we'll have a chance to play all of them. And then our last few rounds, we can do something like we did for Lost Ruins of Arnak, where we had the individual starting characters. And we would choose for the other person, or we would choose our favorite one. And
I remember when you got it, and I was like, pick the worst one for me. And then you're like, no, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to give you the one you like. And I was like, now I have to give you the one you like.
You gave me the one with the monkey. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah, because that one, you get extra whatever from it.
You got the gear that you got to turn around. That thing was awesome.
I know. You like anything that has a modular.
Modular?
Oh. I'm getting closer.
You are.
It's coming along.
But yeah, I'm excited. I love games with maps too. I love the traveling aspect, feeling like I'm moving around a map and exploring. So
we'll find out. I mean, it looks cool.
Yeah, but it seems intuitive too. Like you're going to pick it up really fast.
I think so. It seems like a lot of games that we have previously played. So I could see it being pretty easy to pick up. But yeah, speaking of easy to be picked up, easy to pick it up. Explaining.
Pick it up easy.
Right. You're like, I don't think you're going to pick it up easy after this. But let's get into our first play then and see how it goes. And we are back after... Wait, did you play Marco Polo?
Have I played it before?
Yeah, I forgot what you said.
I have, but only online. I've never played the physical copy, and it's been some years since I've played it. So I will consider this my first round, not just because I lost, but it was like relearning everything again. Okay,
so then, yeah, we're back after our first round of Marco Polo. I feel as if every time I play a game once and we come and record these, I am always in kind of a... what should you call it? Indifferent about it for the most part. There's only been some games where I'm like, yes, and some games I say no to. But for the most part, I'm pretty indifferent. That's why it somewhat amazes me when people play it one time and then they have strong feelings towards it, strong emotions.
Yeah, like this is the best game I've ever played.
Yeah.
It's almost been a red flag, or it's not ended well if we like a game a lot after one play. Like, oh, this game was incredible. It usually tapers off really. It's like a flash in the pan, you know?
Yeah. Or if somebody says they don't like it right away, I think that they should take the time to play it at least 3 times. I found that going through these 10x10s and playing different games, that it does take about 3 to 5 different times before I fully know, because there was Aquasphere, or Underwater Cities. After 3 times, I wanted to give it up. I just thought it was repetitive and boring for the most part. But then we said, no, we need to power through.
Yeah.
And then we played another round, and it started to pick up for me. I was happy that I didn't give it up. I'm happy that we returned to it, because then I kind of found, I don't know, it just felt different. And so with this, I don't want to automatically give myself that perception of, oh, this is boring, or oh, this isn't fun, or anything like that, because it was only one round and I feel really indifferent about it. And due to feeling indifferent, I'm like, this could potentially be a really good game, but this is why I feel indifferent. And that is because the rounds didn't feel satisfying to me, but it was a learning game, so I really didn't understand what I was doing. And after a first game, I didn't see like a strategy in it. There was 5 dice that you got to play with, so technically you get 5 turns depending on how you use them, but I would always use them on the high yielding gold things, which allowed me to complete contracts a lot faster, which gave me 7 points at the end. But even without that 7 point, I was still in the lead,
Right.
So I don't necessarily feel as if contracts are the way to go, but I also don't feel traveling from city to city is the way to go either, due to you not gaining points until you really lay all of your huts down.
Yeah, or you make it to Beijing, which gives you the points at the end of the game. It was a funny moment when you realize that you actually don't get points when you place huts. Because I've been trying to go around and build the huts, and I was like, no, it's about building the huts gives you those additional action spots, as well as the beginning of round income, which is helpful.
And it's very restrictive because it's only 4 rounds.
5 rounds.
Oh, 5 rounds.
Yeah.
And you need to figure it out.
Really fast.
Really fast. You have to figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, this doesn't seem like a game where you're going to build this entire strategy and see it come to some special moment of fruition. It's like quick, like you got to get in, maximize your actions within 5 rounds, get points in the most ways that you can, and then hopefully win the game. It's a very quick thinking game. Like you don't have time to really do a whole lot. Because we finished this round in 40 minutes flat.
For a learning round,
For a learning round, that's the shortest game we've played in a long time. Of this weight, I would say. Because most of our learning games are like 60 to 90 minutes of this type of game. So 40 minutes, I'm like, I think once we get going, we could probably knock out a round in 30 minutes. It'll be cool to see after 10 plays what our average play time is.
Yeah, and the recommended starting abilities, is that what it is?
Yeah. What did you think of those?
I would say that it was, as people say, overpowered, but also I kind of think that it may not be as overpowered as people think. I got the one where you could pick your dice number. And it's fun when you're first player and you can do whatever you want, but then after the round gets going, it kind of becomes leveled out, because if you want to play on top of another player, sure, you might want to lay a 6 down, but now you owe 6 coins. Yeah. And you might not have the money for that. Or you want to do something because now you realize you could do it, but then someone's already there, so you have to pay, and or you want to use another die, but you already used all your dice because you went for the higher yielding ones because you could choose whatever number you wanted.
Make them all 6s.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a distraction.
A little bit. That's why I think each power, from my understanding, a lot went into this design process where each power subtly has a strong ability, but also it holds you back in certain ways too, and you kind of have to balance that. So
I felt like it held me back because I was so excited to just do whatever I wanted that I thought I could do whatever I wanted. So then I never planned anything for it because I felt that I didn't have to worry about it. Yeah. And that's what that ability made me do. It didn't make me think. It just kind of was like, do you know those bookstores when you were kids in grade school where you would get money for it and you're like, I have $20. So instead of going for like a whole bunch of things, like a bunch of cool things, like the Smencils and stuff like that, you go for the $20 book because you go, I have $20. So you go for the highest thing when you could do all of these other fun things.
But what is better?
Doing all the other fun things. I would love to have Smencils again.
I was always about getting Goosebumps or Animorphs. Those were my Scholastic book fairs.
Animorphs always slightly freaked me out.
There was like the reptilian one, right?
Yeah. I really liked the like multi-sided highlighter that had different scents.
Oh.
Yeah, that was always $5. And then you could get some Smencils and those were like $1. I had a root beer Smencil for the longest time. It still smells.
You still have it?
Yeah, it's somewhere in my drawer.
It's funny.
I love it.
I think, after one play, I'll be intrigued to, I think, specifically explore these designers a lot more because it'll be cool to see things like similar aspects between games that they've designed. And Simone Luciani is known for having games I think mesh well with my desired playstyle. Like, he's like very much... when I think of his design, I think of like feel good, bonus heavy, like almost like short-term reward type, feeling like it's just a fun gaming experience, which I'm here to have fun. But then Tascini, when I think of him, I think of heavy restrictive resource management, strategic planning. So it's almost like I can see both in this a little bit because this game has a lot of cool little bonuses and things that you can do, but then also the resource restriction of traveling is insanely expensive. You need to plan it out, have the things that you need, and make those really difficult decisions on how to spend your resources of die to maximize the round. So
that's funny how two designers made a game, and you see the different aspects of them. I feel if we made a game
Yeah.
Although I'm the one that's like, oh, the art's so cute, oh, this, oh, that. I feel that they would say, oh, the resources in the strategic levels from Julie, and then the explosions.
Yeah.
Aliens. That's dang.
Yeah. You would be able to pick apart a game that we design, which I would love to do that someday. That's like on my lifetime bucket list of things to do is design a board game.
I already have the design ready for you.
Well, I know we
gotta do stuff.
It's gonna involve ancient civilizations.
I love how you're like, I know it is.
Plus alien technology.
No, this is gonna be a wild one. It's gonna be very jester thematic. It's gonna be so wild in storytelling that you won't know the theme, and that's okay because this is our passion project. So if you don't know the theme, it doesn't matter. What matters is that it's like wild.
That'd be fun. I feel like you and I, our brains coming together, could do some really creative stuff.
Yeah, and especially now that I'm learning more games and whatnot.
Yeah.
It feels like I can understand how to put a game together. For the most part.
I think...
A little deeper than Uno. Just a little deeper.
Just a little, yeah. But that's fun. I'm excited to get into this one a little bit more, try all those player powers, see which ones are our favorite, end our last few rounds with replaying those, and just have a good time. This one I think we're going to get through pretty quick.
Yeah, let's get into it then, and then we'll report back after our 9 additional rounds of Marco Polo. And what's the whole title?
The Voyages of Marco Polo.
Yes, The Voyages of Marco Polo. And we are back after our 10 rounds of The Voyages of Marco Polo. It took 10 rounds for me to get that title right. For some reason, I just kept thinking it was Marco Polo. Probably because it's the biggest.
Because of the pool game. We've been playing in the pool. I'm playing, I don't know, swimming.
Swimming? Why is that a swimming game? Like, why is that even a thing?
How did it originate?
Yeah, I guess I just don't know history well enough to understand why it originated in a swimming pool.
I have no idea. It's not a game I particularly love, though, because... I don't know. It's tough for me to guess where people are anyway. I don't like anything that involves my eyes being closed. So
I'm really good at Clue.
What does that have to do with Marco Polo?
Because it's guessing. Don't you guess where that person is or whatever person?
You go off of audible clues because you have to say Marco and then they say Polo, and when they say Polo, is it clues you on where they are? But then they get all
quiet.
They go underneath water, and
or
stuff.
Your sister, as in like my sister, decides to jump out of the pool and then go on the diving board and then lay on the diving board and say Polo from there. So you know you're close, and she'll say Polo.
Oh, so she's never in the water.
Yeah, she's not in the water, but she's like above the water, levitating there, and then you slap her in the face on accident because you have your eyes closed and you're now in a deep end of like 10 feet, and you're like, Marco, and then pop.
Sounds like this was a real story.
It's always a real story.
You know what? You have so many real stories.
I've had a interesting life, I guess. I don't know. I haven't really thought it was interesting until we started talking about it out loud.
Well, the main question I have, the title has Voyages in it. How immersed did you feel in this adventure, exploration, discovery, voyaging theme? I don't even know what it is anymore.
I would say the voyage makes sense because it was expensive or resource heavy to move. So regardless of how you moved from, where are they, cities? Cities. Yeah, no matter how you decide to move city to city, you were going to use heavy resources. So you could use all 5 dice or like 6 dice and 5 die numbers. What is that word called? A pip?
Pip. Yeah, pip.
Oh my goodness.
Pip value. Pip count.
Well, the facing of the number. And if you put that in the gold, you could move up 1 city. But now that's 3 dice that you had to give away to do that. And you had to give away high numbered dice to do so. You could do it that way, or you could fulfill a contract. Were the contracts? Haha. Yeah, that's right. But you could fulfill a contract that would allow you to also move up a city. But fulfilling a contract required you to give out resources. And then the final way that you could move up a city, well, I guess it's not the final way, it's the second to final way, but another way is you could do 2 dice, and then depending on the value of those 2 dice, not together, the value of the lesser the dice, would determine how far you could travel. But then it wasn't just laying dice.
Much.
Yeah, you had to pay money.
Like 12 to move 3 or something.
Yeah, so there's some more resources.
Plus the travel cost between cities.
Oh yeah, because some would have like a camel, coins. And then the final way is if you landed on a city that had the action or gift, I guess, for landing on that city prize, you could move up, because there was that in the random shuffle.
There was a city that had that bonus, yeah.
But it always was unfortunate if you got on there and then you didn't have camels or money to travel to the next one, if it required a toll, basically. So no matter how you moved, no matter what you decided, it was a resource heavy move.
Yeah, and I think that was I was looking at some of the designers' quotes that I could find about the game, and that was one thing that they wanted to bring through in the design, was how expensive and resource intensive that traveling would be in the game, because they wanted it to be true to the theme, but also feel like it was just expensive enough to make you have to think, is this worth it? But it always turns out to be more worth it in the long term to invest in the traveling than to not.
Yeah.
Because the traveling, that was something that we got wrong in our initial play, was that we thought that a couple of things. That the ongoing bonus of the small cities, that you get it right away when you move into that small city and you end your turn there. But then the ongoing bonuses with the bonus actions is based off the pip value, determines the number of times you can do that action. So it's not like a small action. If you can pull off a 6 value die in that space to get sometimes like 12 points or a bunch of coins, it can really be worth it. And it's almost a mini engine building type thing. As the game goes on, you can have yourself in these cities that give you these really good bonuses that make you more efficient at doing things.
Oh, the blue ones?
Well, the blue giving you the ongoing bonuses, but then the action spots. Sometimes you could really capitalize on those to do actions more efficiently or get resources. Because this game, I found that if you find yourself in a position where it's difficult to get resources and you have to waste these turns getting like one of this and one of that, you're not going to do well in the game. You need to find a way to become really efficient at it, either through the beginning of game getting stuff or bonus action spaces that let you convert things to get the things that you need. Because the actions themselves, you have 5 dice in a round, and then you think if you use 3 dice to go to that gold spot, that's more than half of your actions for the entire round just to get 3 or 4 gold. Sometimes even 2 gold. Like if they're low valued, it is not worth it. I think this game forces you to have to think of, it's almost like it puts those action spots there to say, okay, you can go here as a worst case scenario, but you should really find a better way to do it.
Yeah. I don't know. It was interesting because we tied, and I didn't want to do a tiebreaker just because, I don't know.
How about the tiebreaker is the person who taught the game?
No. Because you don't really teach me the games. You just kind of like give me
the tools to win.
The tools. Because, I don't know, I think about teaching when it's that board game retreat that he had gone on, where he literally took like 3 hours to teach one of the games. But
it was over an hour for sure.
Yeah, but he did it because he wanted to say everything about every card, about every move. Like, if you do A, B, and C, this is what will happen, right?
Yeah.
But I just don't learn like that. I just need to know the moves. And then if that card comes up, then it'll come up. I didn't know if this was like a Dave game or not. I was surprised you were catching up to me. I kind of got comfortable.
You did. You were resting on your laurels, as they say.
What?
You know, it's like you settle, you become complacent, you rest on your laurels, like you won a couple times, and so you kind of ride off of that. You don't think of how can I adapt or get better. It's a stupid corporate
What's
term.
a laurel?
Laurel is like the victory point symbol, you know, is it Roman or Greek? I don't know what the symbol is.
Oh, that's a laurel?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I do like to win in a row. Like, I like to win all the time. But the reason that it caught me off guard was because I didn't think that you would figure it out. I don't know how you figured it out.
Well, I think it was there's so many layers to this game, like the resource management, but then there's the asymmetric player powers. And I think in the beginning rounds of the game, I was more focused on how to do well on the board with the action spaces that existed. And then as the rounds progressed, I thought more critically about what my player power was, what yours was, and then how to maximize my own player power. Because I feel like in this game, if you don't do well based on what your player power is designed to do, you're not going to do well in general. Because the game itself, if you take the player powers out, it's just a very basic dice placement, resource management, traveling game sort of thing, contract fulfillment. But then you mix in those player powers and it really breaks the rules. And I found another quote from, I think it was Luciani, who was talking about the asymmetry and balance. And they said that they spent a lot of time balancing the powers in the game, not to make them all perfectly balanced, but more to create an exciting imbalance that focuses on adaptation. Like, how are you going to adapt based off of what your new play power is and what the other person's is?
Oh, trust me, Beijing was imbalanced.
The Beijing one?
Yes. Because you had gotten the Beijing one, and so you got 10 points at the end of the round automatically because you start on Beijing.
Yes.
And you put your house on 10. And that's your thing. And it's irritable because every other time that we had played, I always got it there, respectfully, raced there.
You're like, I paid my dues.
Yeah. And then,
I didn't get a handout.
Yeah, and I would win because I did everything good. And then you started 2 rounds with that, and those are the 2 rounds that you won instantly without trying.
Without trying, I still tried.
Really irritable.
I still had to use.
Seeing as I only lost by 3 points one round, and then I only lost by about 5 the other round that you were on Beijing, which tells me if you didn't have Beijing, I would have won. And what's even more disheartening
That's not
is
true.
that I went to all of my cities and you only had 2 houses out because you were at Beijing and then you were at that big guy, whatever it is.
Sumatra?
Yeah.
Oh, that city is awesome. With the 3 action spots?
Yes. But you got that advantage without having to use 120 resources because you were already there. So then you were sitting there like, oh, I'm going to turn these in for 4 points. Oh, look, this is a 6 die. So I'm just going to do it as many times as I want. So that's like, oh no, 16 points, please. I'm like, so ultimately, without that overpowered card, I would have won.
I don't think that is overpowered.
No.
Because, okay, I'm going to make my case.
No, before you make your case. Sure, we can play it again, but we're going to take that one out. Because all the other ones were fine.
Okay, a couple things. I love that the last 3 rounds of the game we did, was the last 2, where we did where you draw 3 random player powers. The second player gets to pick the first one, and then the first player gets to pick one. So I ended up with Beijing, I think, the last 3 rounds of the game, and I won them all. Okay, I get what you're saying. You don't have to do any work to get over to Beijing. However, a couple of things. It doesn't give you any ongoing ability. The only thing you get is you get a start in Beijing, which automatically gives you 10 points for the end of the game.
Yeah, and you start on the board with all the nice things.
Okay, a counter argument to that is all of the city cards are randomly shuffled up. It's randomly distributed, so there's no guarantee that city cards on one side will be better than the other. However, it does give you access to those cities without the competition for those, I guess, entry bonuses that you get from the other side. Because earlier rounds, you would get into the cities first, take the bonus, and I still would get in, but I wouldn't get that extra dopamine hit of the 2 purples or the sacks of pepper or whatever they were. But, okay. However, the last 3 rounds of the game, something clicked in my brain. Because we talk about distractions a lot in this game, and this game has a lot of distractions, by the way, things that you think are important but really maybe aren't.
I wasn't.
I was heavily distracted by those route cards that you get at the beginning of the game, because I would look at them and I felt like I had to complete them. I had to have my houses in those 4 different cities in order to complete it, because I'm a huge route building game fan. Like Ticket to Ride is a great game, but a bunch of others, that Power Grid, Turn-in Taxis, Bus, a whole bunch that I can think of. Love those games. And the route building started to get in my head a little bit. But it's really not that important because it scores you, if you score both on one card, it'll score you like 4 to 6 points. And then you get up to 10 points bonus for getting all of the cities, which is like, okay, that's not bad. But when I started in Beijing, there was a point in the game where I was looking at my cards and thinking, oh, I really want to get my routes, but there's these cities that are out of my way that will give me really good bonuses, but I'm not going to complete all these routes. And I was like, maybe it doesn't matter. Let me just try getting cities that give me good bonuses. And then what was funny was, as a result, once I got those bonuses, I was then able, for the most part, to complete the cities. But earlier rounds, I was focused first on getting my houses to the right places. But then in later rounds, I was focused on hunting down these better bonuses. And then later in the game, trying to spread out and get to those cities, which worked for me.
Okay. But starting at Beijing, you were put right next to a blue one.
Oh, yeah.
Which is an ongoing beginning of the round thing.
In Venice, it was you had to go, I think, 2 to get to one of those.
Exactly. Or when I was in Moscow, I think it was 2.
Yeah.
I think they were all kind of 2. But you started right there. You don't even have to go through anything. You just want to go down one.
It sounds like
and it
you
was
have
for free, too.
some deep-seated issues from your childhood.
What? What does it have to do with my childhood?
Siblings getting treated unequally or something?
Oh, yeah. It's never equal. Okay,
I feel like coming out in this game a little bit.
Okay, the only reason is because you got a head start. That's what it is. And just like life, I had to work for it.
Okay, but counter argument.
No. There's no counter argument because you only won by minuscule points. That tells me that your strategy would have done nothing. That's what that tells me. I lapped you. I got 100 some.
You were
that
vicious
was pure work.
when you
that wasn't, I got a leg up in Beijing. Okay.
You get so vicious when you lose the game.
I get vicious when I lose a game because it doesn't make sense that you won.
Okay, but in one of the later rounds, you had the power where you could hop around from oasis to oasis, and you still lost.
Because you started at Beijing.
But you could have jumped over there with a hop, skip, and a jump.
That's regard, and that's what I did, and I only got 7. You got 3 less points.
That's only 3 points.
That's what I'm saying, and you only won by 3 points. That's what I'm saying. So, like, okay. So, in all seriously, you started in Beijing, you got the 10 points, you won by 3 points, right? But you did do the thing where you decided to not get the cities, you decided to get the items that give you points throughout the game, right?
Yeah.
Well, in a way, it kind of leveled out because I went for the cities, so I got full bonus on cities. I got both numbered cards and the 10 points for getting all 4 of my cities, right?
You did really well. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, the point is, at the end of that game, you won by 3 points. So you won the Beijing. So this tells me if you never got Beijing first, you would have lost. Regardless of your little, oh, well, I went to this city and then converted resources into points.
So it's funny. I wish I would recorded which powers we had for each game. Because did you win when you played with Beijing? I don't think that you did.
No, I didn't.
So there you go.
Well, I didn't win with it because I don't take handouts.
This is so funny. I learned, I love playing games with you because I learned something about you psychologically about every game that we play.
Yeah, because remember there was that one power that you got where you're like, this is really hard. And I was like, that's my favorite one.
Oh, the one where you pass through the cities and you can drop off the houses in each one rather than having to stop?
Yeah, and you got it and you lost terribly.
Well, it didn't make sense to me because that one, although you get to drop houses off and you could hypothetically get more out, it's still expensive as all get out to be able to travel to begin with. So there were very few circumstances in the game where I could have afforded to go beyond the city that I ended up in anyway.
Well, here you go. Here's the secret that I told you I wasn't going to tell you about because we were still playing.
Julie's infinite wisdom.
The contract cards allow you to move up a space if you had fulfilled them, right?
Yeah.
And then the gold, the 5 die tier, allowed you to move up a space if you had 5 dies. And then you had the 2 dice to put in to move up and then pay the troll's toll.
The troll's toll, yeah.
So this is what I did. Every time I saw one of the contracts come out with a move up, whatever, and then get points, I picked those.
I noticed.
And then it would move me up to the city or whatever, and then it would give me something, and then I would take those resources to pay off the next contract and then move up. Or I would take those resources to go on the 2 die. Or I would always get my 6 die, I would always use it for camels to collect the black die to then always have at least 2 die to potentially move there. And then if you already moved there, depending on what you moved and my resources, I would just use it to collect more resources for the next round so that I could just move.
Well, you certainly moved 1, 1, 1, 1, whatever round you had. That
1, 1, 0, 0. You're like, you certainly did this computer thing.
I'll be honest, I didn't think that I was going to win. Well, I didn't win. We tied. This 10 by 10 challenge.
Yeah, we tied.
I definitely didn't think I was going to win because the first game you won, then I won 1, then you won, then I won, and then you won 2. So you had this lead where then I won the last 3. But there was a point where I thought, I'm not as good as this game as you are. And I love that you said you weren't sure if this was a Dave game or not. And I definitely don't think that this is, at first glance, a Dave game. But it's a little hidden beneath the surface with some of those city cards lean more into the Dave game aspect with the bonuses.
Well, because you could trick or treat at those city cards.
Trick or treat?
You can drop off little gifts and get treats.
Yeah. Trick or treat.
You're like, we tied. Why do you sound so bitter?
You were
like,
so bitter.
You
were so bitter. Do you think that this is more of a Julie game or more of a Dave game or both?
I don't know, because when I think of Dave game, I think like engine building, tableau building. I think of like all these cards that do absolutely nothing. A lot of distractions. Yeah, and I'm sitting there waiting for you to end your turn. That's what I think of when I think of Dave's games. When I think of my games, I think of where there's 101 distractions, but all the distractions is just fluff and I cut through it. But you're like, ooh, I'm gonna go taste
Go trick-or-treating.
Yes, I'm gonna go house to house.
I love games that have shopping.
Oh my God.
Go shopping for cards.
That's an interesting thing. But
like Quacks of Quedlinburg, for example, you know how at the end of each round you have all the money to spend and you're like, oh, I'm going to go buy this token and that one. I don't know if this fits into my strategy, but it looks really cool, so I'm going to throw it in my bag and here I go.
Yeah, but I feel like that one's still, that's like a card building game or whatever. You're good at those games.
Oh, like pool building, like deck building, bag building, that kind of thing.
Yeah, anything that involves building, you're good at. I'm good at long-term games, so the longer the game, the more distraction.
You're good at the small brain games.
That's not what I said. Yeah, so this game was quicker.
It was. Our average play time in this game was 44 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mind games that are longer on the 1 to 2 hour plus side, but there's something I really appreciate about these mid-weight Euro games that play in 45 minutes to an hour.
Mm-hmm. And I have noticed, I know that like we were talking about wanting to take our time with games, but I've noticed in general, since we have decided to start taking our time, that when we like a game or when we get really competitive, we just keep going. Like,
we do, yeah.
Yeah, we're not, oh, let's take a break. We're like, no.
Yeah, especially when it gets heated.
Especially when it gets
smack
heated.
talking. It's when the competitive talk bleeds into our daily life, where we're at work texting each other. Like, I can't believe that you won with the Beijing handout last night.
It's more like, you better not be Googling anything. Like when you're like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. And I'm going to be like, why? Because you Googled it?
I haven't Googled the strategy once.
I've never Googled the strategy.
Oh. So how does this game compare to other ones on our 10x10 challenge so far? In terms of just, does it stand out to you? Does it offer anything new?
This game
innovative?
we have to come back to. I haven't figured it out. I haven't figured out if collecting all your cities work or if there's a better way to use resources. I'm still pretty stale on it. Especially because I only won 5 times.
I think that's been a common theme with the ones that we've really enjoyed on this list, that we get to the end of it and we're like, okay, we're just starting to figure it out. Mm-hmm. Even after 10 plays, but we want, now that we feel like we're at that point of not mastery, but we've gotten rid of any rules disputes, we've gotten rid of any confusion, we understand everything completely, and now we can just get in and strategize.
Yes.
That we start to get to that point by like round 7 through 10, I would say.
Yeah.
And then the 10x10 challenge ends, and we put it away, move on to the next.
So, Dave, is this a keep it to play or trade it away?
Ooh, you're asking me.
I know, I love to mix it up sometimes.
The master of the Voyages of Marco Polo
I'm not to decide. The master.
No, I am. That's why I get to decide.
You're like, way to stay humble, Julie. I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah, this is a keep it to play for me. I'm really glad that I picked up a copy of this because it kind of has a classic feel to it, where I could see us hanging on to this and playing it, coming back to it from time to time. Mm-hmm. Just when we want a quicker midweight Euro game that we can get out. The setup is a little bit intense and shuffling everything and stuff, but I really enjoyed this, and for me it's a keep it to play. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree, and honestly I feel like I need to crack the code on it. Yeah. There's something I'm missing. I know there's something I'm missing.
It's going to drive you crazy.
I know, it's going to drive me crazy because I was able to hit over 100 one game and then haven't been able since, so I'm like, there's something.
I love that. But thank you for taking that journey with me across the lands.
Across the lands? Well, of course. And thank you, David. So that wraps up this leg of our journey through the winding roads and bustling markets of the Voyages of Marco Polo. Whether you're bartering in Beijing or just narrowly beat your rival to the next city, we hope your strategy was sharp and your camels plentiful. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram is @DiceJesters. You can also email us games and whatnot to try, to play, to rate. Well, not really rate, but the keep it to play or trade it away, because rate's like sushi buffet. But
don't want to go down that path again.
But you can email us at thedicejesters@gmail.com, and we are also on Patreon and YouTube under Dice Jesters. The YouTube will be highlighting some of my top 5 items, getting out of our shell a bit, talking more, doing all that fun stuff. So you can get to know us a little bit more that way. If you want to get to know Dave a little bit more, you can find that stuff on Patreon. But go get that favorite character combo or trade route. I don't know, man. I just come up with these.
What's going on
We're
right now?
Very gestury, But yeah, seriously, send us a message. fellow Voyagers. Until next time, may your dice roll true and your resource be plenty, and your path always lead to adventure. Safe travels.